Yeah, how are you?
Good to see you, Morton.
Yeah, hanging in there, huh?
Hanging in there. It's tough. Everybody's going through some challenging times, especially in the lower portion of the parish, both Terrebonne and Lafouche. But our parish just took such a severe hit. They just put out the recent timeline and the path of the eye and how long it just stayed over home. It slowed down and just, we had sustained winds over 120 mile an hour for, 4+ hours. It was just incredible in terms of the impact of the storm and how wide it was, specifically for our region. But we'll get through it.
I think they'll see some people gauging even more than that. I think it'll be a Cat 5 when it's all said and done. We'll see.
I would agree.
High 4 or low 5, it doesn't matter. I mean, we were splitting hairs at that point. Right. Let me ask you, from a state level, I know when things like this happen, and the governor's already provided a lot of money for levees and support in that arena. What's the state doing in this? Bring us up to date if you could.
Sure. So obviously the state is critical, and the Governor's Office of Homeland Security are working with all the different parishes and their EOCs to ensure that the resources are in place. Essentially establishing a process with the pods, the points of distribution, to ensure that the resources that people need, in addition to supporting all we can to get the fuel and the energy and the lights and gas and everything back on. The resources have been somewhat difficult in terms of, especially for gas. As you know, the refineries were hard hit, and they're getting them back online. A lot of it has been coming from out of state. So that's a critical issue, simply, obviously, for the generators and everything else, but you can't access the resources that are being provided at the pods unless you have an ability to get there, and people need the fuel to do that. So fuel is primarily the major issue right now, in addition to getting folks back to where they can start repairing, rebuilding their homes, and doing what they need to do to get back to what will be normal. It's just going to take a little while. Let me
ask you this, and it just occurred to me, maybe I could ask you, and if you have to put it to a federal level, let me know, but a lot of police officers are out there working only to find out they don't have a place to go sleep. Their roofs have been blown off. Hospitals, of course. We know the story with the hospital. Yeah. Is there any way, I would consider those first tier responsibilities of the state. Can we help those type of people, or what are y'all doing to do that?
Well, we are, and the obvious lack of having a hospital in this parish is critical. I know the EOC in the parish and Parish President Dove are working to get that established, but I was talking to the Secretary of LDH, and they're working in regard to the federal support, allowing for essentially a mass unit, bringing in military medical units that essentially operate after a significant event, which this is, can set up a mass unit, which we need in Terrebonne Parish. We need access to medical services. There is an effort to get Terrebonne General up and running. I know Ms. Phyllis and others are working, providing power is the first step, and once we get the power, then setting it up to where you have the facilities or the process in place to, I guess, to triage or get the critical issues taken care of to where they can get them to a facility that can really take care of them. But we don't even have an emergency room. The closest one is Thibodaux, and we're working to try to get that MASH unit here in Terrebonne. Chabert is going to be a while, even longer than Terrebonne General.
Any resources that would help law enforcement that's so critical to what we're doing? We've been watching them. Of course, we're here at the station right on Main and Barrow. We see the units all the time, and Houma Police and Sheriff's units, and in Lafouche, same thing. Any resources there, or is that more a federal thing?
Well, it's a federal thing in so much as FEMA is going to provide the resources that can be allocated to the state and then the local EOCs. And you're right, housing is a critical issue. I know especially in Montague and Pointe-aux-Chenes, God bless the first responders. They are out there in the heat and with no place to stay, sleeping in their cars, and it's frustrating to where they are doing everything they can to help the people, and we could or should be doing, and we are trying to do everything we can to provide them living quarters. So I was at the EOC yesterday. I know Parish President Dove and Earl Hughes are working on finding those critical areas, looking at some of those quarters, sleeping quarters that they use for offshore, either generating those, getting they do have some facilities, federal facilities that we're working to try to get down here but also just setting up maybe some living quarters that we currently use, getting generator power to provide them an opportunity to sleep, and it's critical, and we're all working on that. But it's frustrating, and I know, especially for those people who are staying up and working so hard to help them, we want to try to do as much as we can to provide them at least an opportunity to shower. That something simple as that. You really develop a deep appreciation for things we always take for granted, simply like a shower or just a bed to lay on. And Montague, Berg, Pointe-au-Champ, Lower Chauvin are having problems, and that's critical in trying to make sure that we can get them living quarters, and we're working to do that.
And I know Mike Sober was on from the Water District explaining the complexity of the water system in Terrebonne Parish. And in all my years of doing broadcasts, I never knew how many miles of pipe that we have, but it's complex.
It is. And speaking of the water, we, from the rescue dollars that we have from the federal allocation, we have a significant program prior to the storm that we were working to shore up water systems, of which I was working with Mike to try to ensure that we can get some of that money. But it's going to be even needed more now because of the impacts of the storm.
All right, hold that thought. We're going to take a short break here on Facebook and YouTube Live. We'll be back with Representative Zarang, and then we'll have the police chief of Houma and Major. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
At Big Wheels Travel Center, the fun and excitement are just around the corner in Bayou Blue. Big Wheels is open 24 hours a day and features 24-hour security, clean restrooms, and a wide selection of beer, soft drinks, and chips for all your needs. While you're there, visit the casino for daily cash prizes and drink specials 7 days a week. You'll get the feeling as if you're in a lush Vegas-style casino. Big Wheels also has one of the largest subways in the area. So stop by Big Wheels Travel Center, where everyone's a winner.
Elite Workforce LLC is currently looking for onshore and offshore labor. We are looking for ship fitters, structural welders and fitters, marine electricians, riggers, roustabouts, marine carpenters, tank cleaners, and more. Give us a call at 985-872-0956. We service the offshore and onshore oil and gas industry. We also service industrial chemical plants. Elite Workforce, your trusted employment service.
All right, we continue with State Representative Jerome Zarang, District 52. We have Chief Dana Coleman coming up in short order, Lieutenant Travis Terrio coming up. And Jerome, let me ask you about the $500 that President Biden unleashed this week. Is it per family, per individual, per household? Can you clarify that?
Sure, and that's a good question because people have asked. It's $500 for individuals who have been displaced, but it's $500 per household. $500 per household, and people can apply at disasterassistance.gov. That's disasterassistance, one word, .gov, or by calling 800-621-3362. That's 800-621-3362, and it's $500 per household.
Let me ask you this, because I'd be remiss, because you were instrumental too, along with our delegation. I want to give the whole delegation credit. You're brought in a lot of money to Terrebonne and Lafourche. And part of those monies always go to shore up the levees and increase the levees. When the president flew over, I think he was pretty impressed with what he saw, despite reports by Weather Channel and everybody else that we had no levees. I think now national attention from us getting out on the broadcast and everything else shows people we got a lot of skin in the game here, and we sort of took care of ourselves, didn't we? State and local.
That's right. We do have a lot of skin in the game, and we've put in money in advance of the federal government coming in and providing support like in other regions. But to the credit of the people who supported it and the levee district and the parish administration working together to put that in place, it's obvious the benefits. Could you imagine with that storm, and even though the water was blowing out, the significant amount of impact and flooding associated with it? You look at what happened in Wendell's system, which was over top, but it held
14 feet.
Exactly, and that would have been a significant impact to response efforts and funding. How much we saved, both the state and the federal government, from the investment we made, and South Lafourche made, and North Lafourche and others, in helping protect themselves. So that should be recognized, but it's also important. It speaks to the fact that we need to become more proactive. I mean, we're very altruistic. After there's an event, a storm, a wildfire, whatever, the federal government comes in to help. But it's after the fact. It pays dividends for every dollar invested. You know, there's estimates in terms of what the payoff is. But at a minimum, for every dollar invested in flood protection, the payoff is $6, and there's some studies that indicate it could be $11. So a $6 return, I mean, you would take that on your 401k any day. I mean, the reality is it saves the federal government money, it saves lives, and it keeps communities in place. And that's the critical thing. If the people are going to live here, we need to provide the support to maintain maintain these communities for the people who provide the services throughout the nation.
Just on a personal note, just so people can understand the gravity of this, and I don't think anybody does not understand the gravity of it. Did we ever, I mean, we thought one day we'd get one like this, but when it happened, we were all going, wow, it just happened.
It did.
And the magnitude was unbelievable. Across the state, wasn't it?
It was. And more impressive, or at least it provides more confidence to the point you were just making earlier, is that this was a category, could be a category 5, but one hell of a category 4. And the system, even though it's not complete, had a significant benefit, and that's the whole deal. These systems are designed to a category 3, and then you hedge your bets after that, because above 3s are less frequent.
Yeah,
80% of the time, 80% of the time it's 1 through a 3. But you do experience, obviously we have experienced 1, but even with that and the system not complete, it provided significant benefit to this region.
Well, this would have been a Katrina. It was a Katrina without the flooding. But can you imagine if the levees hadn't held in Lafourche?
Oh.
Terrebonne was a different dynamic because of the north wind, but if they breach or fail, we have a Katrina.
You have a Katrina. And on Wendell's system, in the back part, it's in some areas it's a -5 or 6 in the lower portions. So if it's breached and that's water there, and that's a huge system, you imagine what it's going to take to unwater that region, even though you can open up the floodgates and all these other things.
They become a reservoir.
Exactly.
Where everybody's living.
Just like Katrina, it would become somewhat of a bowl, and you need to get that water out before you can start rebuilding and repairing things.
And we'd still be trying to get water out. So I mean,
and not to mention, the storm surge. Most deaths are associated within the storm, within that surge, and the countless lives that were saved. That people stay during these. I stayed, and I know you stayed, and unfortunately, some people stay and are exposed to those elements, and there would have been significant loss of life if not for those hurricane systems, both in Terrebonne and Lafourche.
I'm gonna give you the floor, but just in a little information, I know I have a Cat 5 building now. You always wonder which your building can withstand. Feel pretty good in here now. You know? But anyway, I'll give you the floor. We got about 90 seconds left. What would you like the people to know?
Sure. Just quickly, the Bayou Community Foundation is a local entity representing Terrebonne and Lafourche, and they're going to provide free fuel for the region for residents. It's going to be a limit of 20 gallons, but today, Sunday and Monday, beginning at 8 a.m., the Go Past Customer Service Center in Lafourche is going to have gas. In Terrebonne, September 7th, beginning at 9 a.m. at Grand Caillou Middle School. And in Montague, Wednesday, September 8th, beginning at 9 a.m., Montague Middle School. So those areas, people can go and get some gas, obviously, to run their generators or cars. They're limited at 20 gallons, but at least it provides. We're also setting up food distribution centers. There's going to be one tomorrow at Terrebonne, Lincoln, red beans and rice, and providing water and other things. But we're also setting, I know Mike Fazy has one, Tanner's been working on setting some up. He set some up down the bayou, and he's setting some more up. And we'll try to let people know as much as possible. But it's amazing the outpouring of support and the resources that are coming in. It's not enough, but we're working to make sure we can get it to the people.
Well, Jerome, keep up the great work, and I know y'all going to find a way to get resources in here, and we thank you for it.
And thank you. And thank you for all you do during the storm. It's very important to have this information out to the people.
Right. Thank you. Once again, Jerome Zarang, State Representative. We'll take a break. We'll be right back as we continue to go live on Facebook and YouTube and letting the world see what we're going through.
Who can change her students with a smile? Who can make his students learn by teaching them learning is all worthwhile. Well, it's teachers and we all know it. In Terrebonne, we're eager to show it. Grades are going up, yes, every day. And everyone is working hard for A's. The joy is written on their face.
Thanks to everyone for making Terrebonne Parish a rising star in education.
In Terrebonne, we're eager to teach it, and our kids are eager to reach it. Terrebonne teachers, thank you all.
A new company with a lot of history. GIS Engineering has rapidly grown its brand around an experienced team of professionals. GIS Engineering is a full-service planning, engineering, procurement, and construction management company specializing in coastal protection and restoration, upstream and downstream industrial, and transportation infrastructure projects. Putting people first, GIS Engineering, a new company with a lot of history.
And welcome back. We are very privileged, and I say privileged because law enforcement has been really in high gear, and we are lucky to have the teams we have in this area. And then we have Chief Dana Coleman. Of course, everybody knows Chief Coleman. Captain Lonnie Lusco is right next to him, and Lieutenant Travis Terrio are on the desk. And Chief, first of all, welcome to everybody. How are y'all holding up?
We holding up. It's been challenging, but we're holding up. We're keeping the faith, and we just continue to speak positivity to our personnel, as well as our community.
And Chief, I know you're a man of God, and how much have you relied on him in the last week to keep it all going?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day, every minute, huh?
Every minute, every hour, every second.
Yes. Tell us the logistics. I mean, I've been seeing the units back and forth and back and forth, and a lot of people see them, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes to keep all that going. How involved is that?
It's very involved. We are still responding to emergency calls. There are people within our community that need assistance, that need law enforcement, and we still responding to those calls. On top of that, we're still having a tremendous influx of traffic. We're responding to those calls as well. Anything where they feel the need, where they need a first responder, we're there. And the reason why you see us riding with our lights on is so we can get through the traffic a little bit. We're better visible, so we don't have all of these accidents and stuff like that, because we have an abundance of calls that we're going to.
And I still see people, I witness it myself, when the lights are on behind them, they don't pull over to the side.
Yeah.
Can we just please ask people, pull over to the side and let y'all go about your business?
Yes, if you see a unit with their lights on as well as their siren, I guarantee you they're responding to an emergency call. With the lights on, we're being visible. We're letting everyone know we're in the neighborhoods patrolling and stuff like that. So, please, I know we all got things to do, but when you see those emergency vehicles in the area, please adhere to, the lights and sirens.
And it's good to see the blue lights at night, because sometimes it's the only light you see.
That's correct.
That's correct. I want to turn to Captain Lonnie Lusco. And Lonnie, you've been through a few storms. What have you learned from each of them, and what are y'all implementing in this storm that's a little different maybe?
Well, a lot of it tends to be the same in how you approach the beginning. We start assessing what equipment and what resources we have so that we know what task we're able to handle. First and foremost is our patrol responsibility for patrolling and handling calls. But I can tell you that as the tasks come in, you just have to adjust and do the best you can with the numbers that you have. We are extended all the way out to bringing oxygen to patients. We try to make sure all our supports that come in, like fuelers and that kind of stuff, we even make sure they're fed. We got to make sure we treat the people that come in to support us, treat them right, and make sure they're taken care of. The logistics is unbelievable. For example, we're working on getting officers from outside of Terrebonne, more from the Lafayette area. We have to make sure they're housed, make sure wherever they're being housed has power, running water. We have National Guard guys coming in. We got to make sure that they're taken care of. It's way beyond just police work, is my point. As far as what we're doing different, my personal opinion is this staff that we have has been around for a while, and we're continuing to do what we know works. As far as anything new, I think we have a pretty good, well-oiled machine. I'll say that way. I can't really think anything dynamic that stands out. It's just, for example, I'll tell you something that recently came about. Beyond police work, we're trying to get the tunnel open, and because we know that's one of the three avenues of getting from the east side to the west side. We've been working on that for today is the third day by getting the generator up there. We finally got the DOTD it's their project, and we're doing everything we can to assist them. We get a generator all the way from Wisconsin brought down here, and they working on getting that up and running. Before long, that will take place. It's just the hospital services, getting them up and running. Terrebonne General has a small little unit that's been put together, I think, to kind of field what's going on, like a mini ER.
Yeah.
And it's just all working together, trying to get back to some sense of normalcy.
And Phyllis is going to be on here on, I think, Tuesday, if not sooner, to give a thorough examination of what they're going through. With about 90 seconds left, we're going to have another segment, but I want to go to Travis Terrio, Lieutenant Travis Terrio. Y'all been getting the information out, and I got to say, y'all been very good at getting the information out. But it's not your first rodeo, is it? So you sort of stick to what you know best in these times, don't you?
Yep, definitely.
Now, I also hear you're pretty good on generators, too. And everybody laughed because I think everybody knows he's pretty good on generators.
So I know enough to get by, to get us out of a bind, but I know the people that can help.
Yes.
And the businesses in the community that are in that field, whether it's air conditioner work or chiller mechanics or generator mechanics, they've really stepped up, and I know where to go to get the help. I can't take it from them. Those guys are good, and they know what they're doing, and they really stepped up. They came out. We went and get them at 10 o'clock at night, and they came out in the storm that night to figure out what was going on to get us up and going.
And that was to save our civic center.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, what I'm going to do, let's take a mandatory break here on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to come right back with the same panel because we need to know more about what they're doing. So, when this is all over, don't forget to appreciate law enforcement. We'll be right back.
Elite Workforce LLC is currently looking for onshore and offshore labor. We're looking for ship fitters, structural welders and fitters, marine electricians, riggers, roustabouts, marine carpenters, tank cleaners, and more. Give us a call at 985-872-0956. We service the offshore and onshore oil and gas industry. We also service industrial chemical plants. Elite Workforce, your trusted employment service.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Alford, your host for To Your Health with Terrebonne General Health System. Our weekly show provides the latest in healthcare specialties only offered by Terrebonne General. Join us each Wednesday at 7 p.m. to stay up to date with the latest innovations in health. Terrebonne General provides healthcare breakthroughs in cardiology, cancer care, women's health, health and wellness, and much more. You don't want to miss our next To Your Health. See you then.
All right, we are back with Chief Dana Coleman, Captain Lonnie Lusco, and Lieutenant Travis Terrio. And I want to real quick spend some time on the looting, then we're going to get into what the police officers go through. But Judge Jason DeGate, he lowered the boom, $1 million bond.
Yes.
And you ship them out of town. And yesterday, Chief, I was on the news desk, and I was serious. If we put them in a cell, make sure it's about 100 degrees. I know everybody wants to be humanitarian, but come on, looting at this time, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's total disrespect. I can see where it gets to a point of survival, but when it gets to that point, most of your businesses, like your dollar stores and some of these other businesses, allow people to get bare essentials to survive. But when you look at individuals breaking into things like pawn shops, jewelry stores, other people's home and stuff like this, that's total disrespect. So I applaud our judges within this area, Judge DeGate, for slapping that $1 million bond on people. That's a big deterrent.
No doubt. I want to talk about, y'all don't talk about it enough because y'all wear the badge, but Chief, how many people right now in the force have damaged homes or are having troubles on your crew?
When you talk about damaged homes, I would say over 90-something%, 90 to 100%.
How many are out there homes?
Right now, we have about maybe 12 personnel that have nowhere to go, completely damaged. They were living in some rental properties, some apartment complexes, and at this point, they've received notices that they have to vacate these premises. So now we're working with our Sheriff Saunier, who has a good pipeline, and it don't make sense for he and I and other resources to overwhelm our representatives like Jerome Zarang and all of them with the needs. So the sheriff has that pipeline. We have a great connection, great communication with him, and we're funneling our personnel through that pipeline as well so they can get some assistance.
I was hearing some talk of one of y'all officers was actually trapped in his home.
Yes.
And made a last call.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I sat with him a couple nights ago, and he was just telling me Hurricane Ida came with a tremendous force. He was in his home. He started putting on his uniform because he had to work later, and his roof came off, and he's just started making phone calls. Walls started collapsing, and he started calling family members because he really didn't know if he was going to make it out.
That's unbelievable. Lieutenant Terrell, let me come back to you. Y'all been making beds out of wood or whatever. I'm hearing that too, and trying to keep people. Y'all are improvising every way you can. Talk about that a little bit.
We're just making it happen. You can't get the things you need, you can't get the parts you need. So we're just figuring out ways to make things work. To get us through, just to make it happen. If there's a way to make it happen, we're gonna do it.
But I love the fact that y'all not just police officers. Y'all pretty handy at doing a lot of things from the crew y'all got. That goes a long way, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's and it's again the community. They're more than willing to help. If we need supplies, they're giving them to us. The guys are rolling around. We had at one point we had a unit sitting on 4 flat tires. Tire patch kits. Like some of them I think could qualify for NASCAR now. They pretty fast. They're pretty quick.
Things happen. Lonnie, what have you seen? You've driven around storms before, just like all the gentlemen up here. What have you seen out there?
To follow up on what he said, the business community's come out really greatly. We have a company who's offered us a 15-office building that they were able to vacate, and what we're going to do with that building is house these out-of-town police officers that's coming in to help us. It's going to be air-conditioned. It's going to have restroom facilities and all, and we'll load up 2 officers per room, and we'll make sure that these guys have accommodations to sleep. We want to take care of our out-of-town people just as much as we take care of our own. Some of the officers that and I've done it myself, we got law enforcement officers who are out of homes brought in. I have 2 families at my house, and you're going to see that happen a lot. We definitely take care of our own people. It's just all pulling together, community, businesses, everybody, and we've been through this before. We're going to get through this again, and we're going to make Homer strong. We're going to make Terrebonne Parish strong again.
We're going to build strong.
This is our home.
Yep. Chief, we got about 90 seconds left. I want to give you the floor.
Well, I want to just, we've been saying to thank our business leaders within the community. Like you said, other aspects that our law enforcement do outside of, protecting and serving. We have our offices changing flat tires. We almost lost our civic center. The generators at our civic center went out. Here it is. You got personnel. Lieutenant Travis Terrio led a team of individuals within our agency, along with some companies, to get our civic center up and running. So it's not just the law enforcement aspect that we're due. I mean, anything and everything we have a talent to do, we're gonna put it to work. We had teams of our personnel within neighborhoods, cutting trees, getting debris so we can get emergency vehicles through. So a lot of people, gave me calls and text messages applauding it, and I'm telling you, if you see a road that's impassable, call us and we're gonna come try to take care of it.
I want to thank y'all. Y'all get an A++ for what y'all are doing and continue to do. We are lucky to have you guys. We really are.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you, sir.
And Travis, keep on getting those diesel engines running, man. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more. Don't go away.
A new company with a lot of history. GIS Engineering has rapidly grown its brand around an experienced team of professionals. GIS Engineering is a full-service planning, engineering, procurement, and construction management company specializing in coastal protection